Hello, beautiful people. Jules and I with you for a revolutionary conversation. A conversation that is going to be dynamic and experiential. So, buckle up, and we are going to take you on a journey. And this journey is a journey that pulsates in me. And I think it really is what brings alive the meaning and value that comes from my soul. And it's been years of searching, seeking, and never giving up because there was always a whisper in my soul in which I knew that I was the author of my soul. And I always said that when I am the author of my soul, everything will unfold perfectly. But it's to have the courage and sit long enough to have the clarity to know how to move forward from that place. And Jules and I, in our revolutionary conversation, have elicited to this the seed of our soul. And so I call it the insatiable yearning. And many of us have had nuances and ticklings of this insatiable yearning. Some people call it purpose, some people call it value, some people call it meaning. And the fruition of it is fulfillment and contribution. And no matter how it looks in the world, it comes from inside of you. And Jules and I, in our revolutionary conversations, are always coming back to that inner intelligence, that inner genius that's beckoning you. And as stewards and artists and support mentors of that, we're going to have a discussion today about that insatiable yearning in you because we want to bring it alive and have you bring that forth. However it looks, there's an open invitation. And so I extend that invitation, Jules, to have you share that insatiable yearning that burns inside of you.
Oh, I feel that as you say that, it's like, oh, something's going to come through that doesn't usually come through, and I'm surrendering into that divine experience of just letting it come through. Uh, the power of letting our internal medicine, our golden truth, come alive in the world. It's sounds wonderful. I'd love to say it's easy, but it permeates through uh, experience after experience after experience of being challenged and holding space and surrendering and knowing when to surrender and knowing when to stay strong and knowing surrendering isn't giving up and listening to the whispers and knowing which whispers are from your soul and which whispers are coming from a fearful place, from a place that's trying to protect you or keep you safe. And it's really interesting. Janelle and I were deciding how or what to converse about that's the most potent and naturally what wants to come through. And we talked about this power of giving. And as I was preparing for this conversation today, making sure I was completely open to that experience, I remembered this moment in my life when I, just playfully, generously gave, pay it forward, see somebody in need, share in the most like playful and easygoing way. And just seeing the repercussions of that. And for one situation, it feels important to mention. For one situation, it was a friend of mine who I knew was in a really tough place and she was struggling. And so I knew that I wanted to do something to help her, but I didn't want to fix it. I didn't want to solve it. And I also knew that she wouldn't necessarily accept money from me. But I knew that if I gave something, so I bought $100 gift certificate for a grocery store. Um, and I just put it in her mailbox. And I never told her it was me. I knew that that would throw off the balance. She would feel that there was no obligation or a payback necessary or whatever. And I knew that there could be absolutely no attachment to it. I wanted to leave the magic alive. And it was a couple of days later when I reached out to check in with her, and she said, it's like everything's shifting all of a sudden. Like somebody bought me this $100 like gift card for the grocery store, and then at the same time, that same day, this other magical thing happened to her, and you could just feel the fortuitous like comings alive of hope was there in her, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And I remember feeling in my body how great it felt for me to be able to offer that. And it kind of felt like it was selfish in a certain way because I was really gaining so much from it. It kind of felt like a secret that I was keeping, even though I knew it was not a bad secret because I knew that I couldn't tell her. Um, but it really just fed me. And just this morning, as we were preparing for this conversation, that just recalling that made me cry because I haven't been in that space of feeling that generous and that open and that free. And in that experience, I was able to tune into these walls that I put down during COVID. Because during COVID, for me, it was a time specifically where it felt like my curiosity wasn't allowed. I wasn't accepted for, I wasn't allowed to hug people. And that's like one of my superpowers. My smile, you couldn't even see my smile because there was a mask in
Right,
front of it.
right.
and and I just felt like because of some of the decisions that I made, I wasn't able to fully be myself and speak my truth. And so there were walls that went down, and it's like they caught my attention this morning, and I was able to reclaim them, and I was able to honor them and love them for all the work they did trying to protect me as best they could, but to tell them that I needed them and that I would love to reclaim that energy they're holding on to so that we can do something more, so we could contribute more in a way that's best fitting for where I'm at now. And so what you were saying there earlier about that like reclaiming of that energy of of being, of that purpose, our value, so much of it is about contribution. And when we don't feel like we can contribute in the world, we feel like we're missing some of our value and purpose.
Right, right. And isolation was a big one for all of us during COVID. And I think like a lot of switches we have, in our settings, we forget to switch that back. That wow, the truth is we all need each other. And so in that great way, you were a catalyst to open it up and go, wait a second, I need you and you might need me. It's an invitation, it's an offer. And then it sets in motion this dynamic of life, of love, of intelligence. It's like we can all be a catalyst of getting that flow in motion because it's like sending the good vibe. And I've always said that in my world, in the way that I've been giving and the way I help people to understand the difference between volunteering and seva. Seva is selfless service. It's a Hindu term, and it really helps to wear down the ego and the persona, the sense of I, me, and my. And selfless service is giving for the sake of giving, not expecting anything in return. And most of the time, maybe about 99% of the time, the giver get, gets more than the one who receives because we so need, it's a human attribute that we need to give. And it's so easy to forget that and recognize that there are so many things going on in our lives that we need to manage and accomplish and that we have our vernacular set on, that we forget about this interconnectedness. And when we keep ourselves connected, we receive the vibration, the frequency, the inspiration that we're really craving. We crave that inspiration. But if we're closed off, we don't even feel it. And we don't even feel the own inspirations that are beckoning us inside. So the first thing, of course, it's like having curiosity or the desire to want to see with new lenses. How can I possibly see what I haven't seen before? Many of us have waken up day after day and seemingly see the same thing. And so then we start living the same life and it becomes bland and stagnant and we don't feel inspired and we don't feel that sense of purpose. So the motivation, there's no juice there. But we have to do it because we got to pay the bills and people are expecting us. But that desire isn't coming from the place where our power lives. There's an infinite reservoir inside of each of us. And so purpose and meaning and value open that up so that we can access our power and our inspiration and our genius. So really, maybe the most important thing for everything you do, either it's what you do or the way we do what we do, is having that sense of purpose. I matter, and people actually need what I have to contribute. I think if we do anything in our lives, we need to discover and keep rediscovering our purpose. It opens everything
Mm.
up and it
You know,
creates.
it's
Go ahead.
no, I just had this visual. Those who know me know, like it, all of a sudden the imagination opens up. I was like, whoa, you got it. So I didn't mean to cut you off there, Janelle, but I know it'll play in, and we'll keep playing off each other because we always do so well. Um, when you said that, it's like we need to open up. It's like our pores, like opening our pores. It's like everything needs to be exfoliated. We need to be able to breathe through our pores. It's like we're being smothered with other people's beliefs, with society's rules, with things that are not our own way, but the way that we thought we had to be, or we thought they were our own way because that was what the programming told us. And we've kind of got everything's clogged and it can't breathe. There's no room for the give and the take and the giving and receiving. It's like the flow stopped. And you know, the energy of tuning in and tapping into our golden source, to God, to universe, to that flow of consciousness moving through us, whatever that is for you, that helps to exfoliate your pores from the inside out. Right? It helps to be able to access that flow, to be able to listen to those beautiful inner whispers that are calling out to you, but they're confusing and muddled when they're stuck, when they're not allowed to be free and breathe and open. Uh, that was what jumped up, Janelle. I was like,
And
"Wow, I love that image."
also interesting, I've heard many people and recognize in my own self that sometimes we're afraid of our own whisper because we don't know what to do with it. It's so powerful, it's so big, and it's actually so strong. But because we don't know what to do with it, because we've got a life, we've got this, I don't know what to do. I'm not a creative and I'm not an artist. Or maybe I'm not a business person. I would never know how to bring it to fruition. Well, guess what? Revolutionary Leadership Academy is the incubation station to bring alive dreams, desires, whispers. It's designed exactly for that. It's designed exactly for that. Bring your whisper, bring your dream, bring your idea, bring what seems impossible. Test us, challenge us. I am absolutely certain that you will amaze yourself if you have the courage to step one step forward, because that's all it takes is for you to take a step in a new direction and say, whoa, at least now I'm willing to look at new vistas and see with new eyes and just open to possibilities that I've never been open to. Because that tourniquet of same starts contracting. We start feeling like we're losing that life force energy, that vitality. And we forget how fantastic it feels to be alive. A client of mine a couple years ago said, Janelle, you know what? I need more life in my life. Ooh, that's potent. That's poignant. That's powerful. But the moment you know and you give words to and you recognize, you've actually gotten out of your way. Because that willingness to hear your own genius, to hear your own heart and soul, give words to truth.
And that aliveness, when you say that, as we become alive as the members of leadership, the Revolutionary Leadership Academy, work together, each and every individual cultivating their own gold. And it's the cultivation because it's already there. But as we unearth it, as we continue to let it reveal itself, because that's where we put our attention, it's those golden bricks, those make up the foundation moving forward. And that's what the world needs. We each need that from one another. And when we work together as a community, when we start to recognize, like you had said earlier, Janelle, it's like, I don't know what to do with this idea. I'm not a businesswoman. It's like, yeah, but what is your unique gift? What's coming through you? And when you honor that, and you honor all of these other people around you, together we have all of the gifts. We have everything we could possibly need and more to create this new world that is already creating itself, but that we do it through our own evolution of ourselves together.
Right. And it reminds me too, Jules, because that collective energy of having people in resonance and this safe, sweet space where we're all here for a really important purpose, important reason, to feed and fuel and foster dreams and desires that come from within. So we're all doing the same thing in our unique way. And so there are all these unique talents, gifts, and energy signatures, but there's a great chance they're all going to resonate. And I remember a couple years ago, right after COVID, there was this unique band that came to play locally. And how many people in the band? 12. Never seen such a large band. So there were all these instruments. And it was just such a glorious event of both energy, talent, creativity, and aliveness. And it made me think of that, because that's what happens when we come into a collective container with an intention and with openness, a possibility. We create new music, we open new possibilities.
And that brings me back to the dance floor. So once we've got beautiful symphonies and harmonies and connections, it's, I love that you brought it to music, Janelle, because when you jam, whether you're a singer, whether you're just been handed the tambourine and don't know what to do with it, right? Or you're an amazing guitar player. When you're in that free flowing state of going, okay, there's no rules here. We can just make music. The most amazing songs that I've heard are like jams, and not even songs I've heard. I shouldn't say that. The most amazing experiences that I've been a part of are when a whole room full of people just decide to make sounds together. And the feel of it, anybody who's been in a jam, I know you can feel this. You can feel it by being present for a jam because your energy is jamming, whether you realize it or not. But
And nobody
there's
has
a feel.
expectation. So there's such
Mm, I
freedom
know.
and an inclusion and an aliveness that that is bouncing off of the other people, right? So we feed and are
Yes.
fueled by other people's freedom and creativity
Yes.
because
And it
nobody really
rebounds.
knows where it's coming from.
No, it's flowing through and you're not stopping it from flowing through. And for days afterwards, people are talking about that jam, like, oh my gosh, that jam, like my body's still buzzing. I still remember exactly where I was sitting last year during that jam. Like it's memorable, it's impactful. It it keeps the living moving through you.
And
That's the
that,
sort of energy we're talking
and
about.
once you have that memory in you, the self wants more of it. And that brings it back to that insatiable yearning, that
Mm.
insatiable yearning. And sometimes it does take, um, you know, feeling the isolation, the darkness, the aloneness, the recognition that, whoa, you know what? I've got this, all the money, I've got a couple houses, my children are doing great, they're this, I'm successful at my job, but I'm not fulfilled. I don't feel the juice. And so to sit in that, sometimes we got to be with that sadness, that despair, that going, whoa, there's obviously an ingredient missing. Because a lot of times it's that one ingredient that affects all the ingredients. But without it, everything's bland and it doesn't give vibrancy and vitality and inspiration. And a lot of times, if you've checked those boxes, you feel like, gosh, I'm really supposed to be like happy and fulfilled and like exuberant. And the truth is, I'm not. So it's even hard to admit to ourselves, like, that's not it, right?
Mhm.
You think you found it. And I remember one afternoon in the winter when I had it all going on. I had my own business that was thriving. I was at the world class level of competing, getting ready for the world championships, and lots of friends, and I enjoyed it while I was doing it. But I come home to myself and feel an emptiness and a darkness. Something was missing. I didn't know what it was. And so I was on my bike indoors because it was the winter. I This is back in the day of CDs, so it does date myself a little bit. But I'd fill up my CD player with like 4 or 5 CDs so I could listen to music while I'm in my living room, cycling on my Cyclops and doing my indoor training, which I hated to do. So I had to have some great music. And I remember just going, man, this just sucks. There's nothing I really want to do. I don't feel the juice in any of this, even though to the outsider it looks like the best life, but I'm not feeling the juice. It's like, where's the next ounce of inspirational oxygen? Couldn't find it. So it was like, ugh, I hate this. But yet, to my mind, it didn't make any sense. It's like, you got it all. And so I start warming up on my bike, and here comes the music. And the second song was this song, you, you get what you give. The New Radicals have this rock and roll song, you get what you give. And I was distraught and in that despair that actually there was a crack in me that was open that could hear those lyrics. They were answering my dilemma. Janelle, you're self-absorbed. You've got it all because you're self-absorbed. You're satiated in yourself, and now you're so isolated that you're not connected to what brings you alive. And in that moment, I knew the reason I was feeling depressed and down because I was all about Janelle. And so I said, that's exactly it. I need to go volunteer. I need to go give. And so that's what I started to do. And I began to volunteer. I began to give. I began to pay it forward. I began to pay attention to other people's smile. Started to give and be generous. And that's the last time I was depressed. And now I know what the greatest cure is. We must remember to remember that we're interconnected and we need that juice, that vitality of giving and getting, because in the giving, we get what we can't do without.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that story. I know for everyone who's listening, the impact of that, and we've all been in that in some way, shape, or form. Just feel how that resonates inside of you. This is a great opportunity to just notice that, that part of you who's been there, who's felt that, and who's felt the, excitement of being generous, or that like completely reprieve inside of body, and self-absorbed, and literally like self-absorbed, like there's no room for anything else to come in or out of that permeable membrane. It's impermeable. It's just full of you, and there's nothing that can get through. And as I listen to you hear that story again, as you tell that story again, Janelle, that divine reminder of needing each other, needing to not do this on our own, this toxic independence that's been bred into us societally.
Yes.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's
Everybody
become
strives
toxic.
to be self-sustaining and self-reliant. And there you are, setting yourself away from really desire and need, and that gives you fulfillment and joy and happiness.
Yes, yes, and that it makes you feel alive. And I know that you had sent me something in the past about this man who had done this experiment where David White, did this experiment where he would ask for help every day for a certain period of time. And it was experiment, and how great he felt asking for help, how uncomfortable it was at first, but he knew its importance. But how it got more comfortable, but the joy that he saw it bring others by being able to help him.
Yeah.
Right. So for him, it was a receiving experiment. He could just as much do a giving experiment.
Yeah.
They're part and parcel the same thing. And that meaning, that purpose, that contribution, it could be the change around that shifts everything. And if you need help finding it, there's a place to find it. We can hold space for you and others who are in this same experience, and we can grow together.
It's about being a human. It's about embracing our full humanity so we feel more a part of this evolutionary journey that we're all on in our unique ways. But there's something very universal about it as well.
And as we grow together and we start dreaming together and recognizing what we're fully capable of, when we let each other need each other, it's going to break through levels we have no possible comprehension of what's possible. And I can feel it in my body, though. It's going to be amazing. Thank you for sharing your story, sister. That was was hugely powerful. I know I'm not the only one. I'm glad I'm not the only one who's touched by that. Now everybody listening can connect to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
With that, is there anything else? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just really feeling the joy of remembering. When I remember these jewels within myself, it brings me alive again to remember what I'm really about and what makes me who I am and what's truly valuable and meaningful. When I attention and I'm a devotee of what's valuable and meaningful in my life is aligned. I attract the goodness and the greatness that is rewarding and fulfilling. And many people in life have that turn the other way around. So it's constantly a reminder.
Mm. And a reminder that we can shift that all it takes is our awareness, our attention, our intention,
Our
our
orientation.
investment, yes, of our reorientation back into our golden selves. Mm. Well, I invite everyone, it's the perfect time to invite everyone who has been touched by this conversation. If there's anything you'd like to share about your experience, any questions that you have for us, or even any topic that you would love, like after hearing this conversation, that you have been deeply moved to go, oh, I love to hear them talk about that. This is your invitation. So if you're hearing this and it's landing in you, we're speaking to you.
And if you want to
Yeah,
know
we'd love
more
to.
about the Revolutionary Academy program, which is going to be launching in November 2024, we'd love to have you on our dance floor. It will be a dance
Yes.
like no other. So,
Mm. Yeah, I love that we end on a dance every time. My body just loves, loves,
yay.
loves, loves the music, the jam, the dance, the connections through the dance floor, and all of the amazing people that we can already feel. Janelle and I have been talking about this. Can feel all of you being pulled to this just on the outskirts, because the dance floor is just opening up. But we'd love to see you there. So much love to all of you. Please reach out. You know where
Wonderful.
we are.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
See you on
Beautiful
the dance floor.
dance.